Today, we're going to be joined with Pike Schouten from Logitech, and we're going to talk Extend. We're going to talk Logitech Streamline Kit. We're going to go into Roommate, talk Logitech Services, and all of the things, with an emphasis on just keeping you updated on what's the latest in Logitech's platforms and how this is helping businesses operate more efficiently, get better solutions, and also some return on investment ideas. So Pike, why don't you take us through some of these updates?
Yeah, I think what I would like to start with, just to make sure that we cater to all our entire audience, is what we call, basically from an AI perspective, our RightSight technology. And we have RightSight and we have RightSight 2. So I want to break down some of the differences, and that will kind of walk us through kind of what we have rolled out from some new updates when it comes to, again, better positioning the video and the audio in all spaces. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Now, we're not going to go through this entire slide deck. This is what I primarily use when I speak to customers, partners, and so forth. So we're gonna let's talk a little bit. What is our RightSight technology? We launched RightSight with the launch of Rally Plus and Meetup, many moons ago. That technology since then has evolved, but at its core, when we launched RightSight, it gave our cameras the ability to automatically frame everyone accurately in that group view. So really doing that pan, tilt, zoom without the need of grabbing a remote, really simplifying the experience so people can really focus on the meeting, not on the technology, right? The best technology almost goes unnoticed and is seamless. So group view is a great feature. That being said, as technology has evolved and also coming out of the pandemic, even though that has been quite some time past, we have been more getting accustomed to having some more immersive video experiences, right? Everyone was able to join with their own webcam from home. Everyone had their own meeting tile. So as great as group view is, technology is evolving, and this technology still works really well in certain type of spaces. But what we've now done is with our newer video bars. So, for example, we now have a newer Meetup 2 and Rally Bar and Rally Bar Mini and so forth. These solutions, because they have a built-in compute, they actually support RightSight 2, as we call that. So all our video bars support RightSight 2. So of course, RightSight 2 can do group view, but it goes beyond just your conventional group view. We can do a more immersive speaker view. So I don't want to confuse this with speaker tracking. Speaker tracking was an old technology. It's been out there for over 2 decades. Speaker tracking is only listening to the actual human in the room speaking. This is actually a dual technology. So not only are we listening and focusing on the actual human voice, we're also then matching it with their head and torso. We don't capture any specific human features. We just see a head and torso and match the audio to that. So that's a great way. This will work up to 15 feet. This is supported by all our video bars. Now, a real trend that we're seeing in most of huddle spaces, primarily, people really want to be more kind of as if they've joined with their own laptop. So what we also support is grid view. So now everyone is in frame as if they joined with their own laptop. And Microsoft recently has taken this also a step further. Zoom has already done multi-stream. Microsoft just recently introduced this for their Windows PC deployment, so Microsoft Teams on Windows. And we will foresee this will come to appliance-based solutions running Android as well. Similar with Zoom. So now you're actually getting separate feeds from each individual. So I can pin specific individuals and I get a room view. So this is, again, a great technology that really makes sure that the far end feels like they're in the room, that they're having much better communication with the people that are joining from the room.
Pike, tell me a little bit about Sight and some of the updates. I even have heard that recently that Sight's going to be enabled to do Intelligent Director on Zoom, and I'm sure that there's some other updates related to how it's now working in its latest iteration with Teams. But give us kind of an overview of what Sight is and does, and what are some of the more relevant updates on the platform.
Yeah, great question, Kevin. So as we just covered RightSight and RightSight 2, as we're kind of finishing on huddle spaces, in huddle spaces, just for the entire audience, we don't position Sight because the way that the tables and chairs are positioned, everyone is primarily in frame by the camera and clearly seen by the far end. What starts happening in medium to large spaces is there's an identified problem really there that we've identified, and that there's two types of conversations that take place. There's conversations with the room and someone from the far end, but then there's these conversations that are happening within the room. And as the room becomes a larger space, eventually you're staring down at this kind of bowling alley view, right? As we call it. So we can pan tilt zoom, but if you have a lot of participants, like 6 participants, even the people on the end of the table, much harder to see for the remote participants, right? And then there's sometimes this challenge that you have as well. People leaning forward. Now, this front of room camera perspective is still vital, and it's not like we're replacing that. The way that we're seeing this is by adding a companion type camera, which we've brought to the market, which is Logitech Sight. It solves this problem, right? I'm not very engaged from the far end. I'm just seeing ears and noses, right? So that's all you're basically seeing. I can't see this person here. I feel kind of left out. By adding a companion camera such as Sight, it does two things. One, it can capture those participants from a video perspective, but it also captures the audio. So it really solves two problems. And what it really brings to the table, right, is that more immersive experience for the far end, right? Sight is not for the people in the room. It's for the people joining from the far end. And it's really picking up on that conversation that is taking place within the room, as you can see here. And it's much more effective to kind of pick up on also nonverbal cues, like where's this conversation going, the engagement. And if we quickly fast forward, it will also automatically switch active speakers, like people are entering the conversation, and sometimes people are switching from speaking to actually listening to the conversation that takes place. As you can see that transition happening here. So, Sight's been out in the market for the last, 2 years. Since then, it has evolved with a lot of feedback. We recently introduced smart switching. So that is something that we now support. And so what is smart switching? Well, if we look at the participants that are sitting kind of at the 3 and 9 o'clock from the side, right, perspective, when they transition back to having a conversation with the far end, we really need to switch the perspective to the front of room camera. So the smart switching is automatically switching between camera 1, camera 2. It's kind of like your director, right? Without the need of people focusing on the technology, right? As we mentioned that. Now, what I'm really excited to share with you is that we now support not one side, which again, that's great for, medium-sized rooms, but as these rooms get larger, the need for a second side is really key in these larger spaces, as you can see here. We have 12 chairs here. We're very excited to share with you that we now support 2 sides, as you can see. So again, they're great for picking up audio and video. And now we have the ability to capture not just 4 participants, but actually capture 8 participants. So as you can see, depending on where they are positioned in the room, now the way this is also a certified solution with Zoom here. as you can see, what Zoom does, it actually sends 3 streams to the far end. So I can actually, as an individual joining remote, I can decide if I want to pin the room, or I want to pin the room in the one side, or all of them, or a specific one, giving me a lot of control over how, I'm kind of consuming the video feeds. And of course, we have that integration as well with Microsoft. So here you can kind of see here with Microsoft Teams, it is sent as one stream, but it is definitely breaking up the camera feed of the entire room, so the entire space, and then it adds the 2 separate feeds from Sight as well. So again, makes it far more immersive for the participants on the far end, and also provides great audio.
So for Microsoft Teams, again, that's going to send one video feed, which is a composite of the room view plus the eight tiles.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a composite. So as you can see, it's this one stream. Sorry, but you still get a great experience because you really kind of are part of that conversation as if you have a seat at the table, right? Now, nothing stopped Microsoft from eventually doing something similar. If we kind of go back here to what we see with Zoom, as you can see now, this is the Zoom app. I have the 3 separate feeds that I could potentially pin and change to active speaker, the different view settings and so forth. Yeah.
Sure.
So this is supported now with our latest Collab OS 1.15. That's where it was released. And again, just really further enhancing that experience for Sight.
Yeah. It's a great companion to rooms. A lot of our customers have existing rooms, and then they later tend to add the Sight into the equation just because of the value it has for providing more meeting equity. So great solution from Logitech.
Yeah, and as you can see, we have a lot to cover here. So I think the next topic I'd love to discuss a little further is interoperability, also known as guest join, the ability to join a different type of meeting from a different video service provider that you as a customer may have standardized on. But before we dig into that, I think it's important for our audience to make sure that everyone who's joining is familiar with what is a room solution, and also why should I standardize on a specific video service provider. There's many good reasons for this. I like to kind of first give the example of that people can relate to, right? If you think about your iPhone versus an iPad, right? The app in most scenarios, when properly developed, the app is different on your iPad than it is on your iPhone. And the reason for that is primarily, right, at its core, it's designed for a larger screen. So when you have more screen real estate, and meeting rooms have a larger display than when I joined from my laptop or even at home. I got an ultra-wide 34-inch, but most meeting rooms have at a minimum, they're running like, a 42-inch or, the majority 55, 65, and much, you have 85, much larger displays. So really utilizing that real estate is key. And that's why, Zoom and Microsoft and Google have designed their own room solution. So that's a complete different app, just like on your iPad, right? It's not an individual app. It's a one designed for a room solution. And it removes the dependency from a laptop. I can schedule the room, which has a resource account. I can bring my laptop to share content, but maybe it's just a casual conversation or a quick sync up. I have no content to present, or I'm here to kind of learn and someone else from the far end is presenting, right? I can just walk into the room, hit the join button, and I'm in the meeting. So much more simplified. And quite frankly, for rooms, it's a far more polished experience for that matter. So that's kind of, a room solution kind of in a nutshell, right? And again, it's not just Microsoft Teams, it's Zoom, it's Google. All depends what you standardize on. If you internally schedule your calls as Zoom, you definitely want to standardize your solutions as a Zoom room solution, right? And what's great, our video bars, when you run it natively on the bar, it's the same SKU, so you can configure this out of the box during setup as a Zoom room, or you can configure it as Teams or Google Meet for that matter. And yeah, you can do a factory reset and change platforms, right? So the hardware is not bound to the specific provider. So there's definitely choice. Now, the question that, of course, that I hear, and I have this conversation daily, they'll say, well, Pike, yes, we're a team shop, but we also need to join Zoom. Again, not a problem for Teams. You could see here, I added this. This is the town hall meeting. Now, as you can see here, that is an actual Zoom invite. It's a Zoom bridge. So there is this interoperability, of course, that Microsoft has between Zoom. So I can join it. I have access to volume and I can mute. But I want to emphasize it's basic control, right? And if I have to leave, if I have to share content, I have to join separately with my laptop to share content to that same Zoom bridge. But for many customers, this is a great approach. I can leverage the audio and video in the room. I can join that Zoom call. Maybe I'm just a participant. I'm not hosting the call, and that works totally fine from a lot of our customers. And this also works with WebEx as well. And it's, of course, not just on the Teams side, Zoom rooms. Again, you can join the native platform. As you can see here, I got all the full control, all the bells and whistles, right? So with Zoom, same thing. I can join Teams bridge as well. And you can see I can join Google Meet and WebEx. Now, I want to kind of transition because at the end of the day, guest join, interop, what it is at its core, it's just leveraging WebRTC. So Microsoft Teams Room is joining Zoom on a web portal, right? So that is limited in functionality. And sometimes customers want more. And then between Zoom and Google, there is at this point no interop yet. Now, PEXIP has a plan. There's some inherent cost with that. That's the only way. But there is no native interop yet between the two. So I'm really excited to share with you an accessory that we have brought to market, and that has been specifically designed for our video bars that are running the solution natively on Android. So that is Logitech Extend. And at its core, what is it trying to solve? Well, at its core, of course, it wants to build that bridge between. Because as you can see here, you have to join many platforms. And we just had the conversation, right? With Teams, I can join Zoom. I can also join a WebEx bridge. The challenge, what we have as this is being recorded right now, things could change, but there's been talk for many years. It hasn't happened. There is, unfortunately, just no interop between these two. You cannot join a Google Meet call from Teams and vice versa. So why not have it both ways, right? And that's really what we can do here and what we can bring to the table with Extend, right? You can have your everyday meetings with your turnkey room solution, and then everything else, right? So the ability to use the native solution, but then have that bridge. So right now, Extend is fully supported for Zoom rooms on Android and Teams rooms on Android on our video bars. So what does that experience look like? So Extend, quite frankly, you could also position in a room with no service provider, because we've also designed Extend to, one, make things much easier for our partners so they don't have to run USB and HDMI back to the table. That's costly. It's just inefficient. There's a lot of labor involved. So even for customers that maybe have some rooms without a service provider, or all of the rooms are just BYOD running an off a laptop, this is a great product just on its own, because I just want to point that out for the partner. It's just a single cable run, For the end user, it's just you plug in your laptop and you're good to go. Now, of course, so that is what that BYOD experience looks like. Now, with a room solution, right? So if we're looking here at a Teams room, right? Now, I can bypass it. So by simply just, plugging in my laptop, you can see the countdown is happening and I'm on the bridge and I can also share content, right? So I can share content, I can overtake that call and I can run a Google Meet call or a Zoom call, kind of bypassing the system. Now, what's great about Extend is that's one use case. And of course, one of the most important use cases why customers want to add this accessory. However, there's a lot more because there's also the in-meeting experience. So if you're in a Teams call, so you're actually in a Teams call, now when you join the Teams call, and now when you connect the cable, you're sharing content. So it's a multi-purpose accessory that can be that BYOD bridge, but can also share content. And I just want to re-emphasize this is designed for a specific deployment type, right? As we're talking about today. So running it natively on any of our video bars, that's the product that Extend is designed for. We do, of course, sometimes have customers that have needs for either running Microsoft Teams on Windows. That's what they standardized on. For that, we have Switch. And then, of course, when you have to deploy a compute in a larger space, like a very large training room with perhaps maybe a DSP with Roommate, again, that's what Switch is designed because of some of the needs that these computes bring. We need to bypass the compute. Hence, we use Switch for that. Now, I'm sure the audience is going to want to know, well, what's the big differences between Switch and just coming back, the Extend? Well, Switch was designed 4 years ago. Technology has evolved. We've now really brought a product specifically for our video bars that just have a built-in BYOD that we're leveraging. And this also allows us to introduce newer technology. So Extend is using DP Alt mode. Now, again, don't expect everyone to know what that is, but let's just break this down. Any laptop that's 4 years or newer, so the majority of the refresh that has been going on, all of these laptops have this natively built in. So you don't need any software. So it's just plug and play. And better yet, newer iPads have DP Alt mode as well. So I can connect an iPad or my iPhone, for instance. The Switch requires a software driver, the DisplayLink driver. So again, that works for many customers, but for some that could be a blocker when they have a lot of external guest speakers or a shared space with different tenants. So Extend is, again, phenomenal product. I want to kind of take you a little bit through kind of everything else that it has up its sleeve. We're not going to do a full breakdown, but again, simple deployment, as you can see here. You can just place it on the table through a cable well with this little 3M double-sided tape, which creates kind of that little magnetic dock. The other way to deploy it is really drilling a small hole to really secure it. And we have our own full dock, as you can see here. This is all included as well. Just re-emphasizing, right? It's not just laptops. You can actually connect tablets as well. Like just, fun fact, you can, if this was a Teams room, I could run a Zoom call on here, connect it, and the Zoom call will leverage the audio and video in the space. So one fun fact I want to go over, and we're not going to go deep dive into the hubs, but I do want to share one kind of neat little feature that it has kind of under the hood, and that is the ability to further expand. So what does that mean? Well, maybe it's a training room and the presenter needs a presenter, right? So we have a Logitech the Spotlight, which is great when I'm walking around and not in front of like keyboard and mouse. I can just actually connect this to the Extend, and now anyone that connects their laptop has access to the presenter. You can do that with a keyboard and mouse as well, or you can actually provide Ethernet as well. So Again, a lot of features up its sleeve. Now, it does not come with a power supply at the table. Why are we not shipping that power supply? And that's an important reason for that. Some manufacturers use trickle charging. Dell uses that. They like to optimize battery life, so their power supplies are really designed for their laptops. Doesn't mean that I can't charge my MacBook Pro with a Dell power supply, but their laptops really prefer their chargers. So if you standardize on Dell, you can now outfit this with a Dell power supply. So again, you're sharing content, but you're also charging, right? It also allows us to reduce the price because we don't have to put in the power supply, and you can better customize it to your needs. So real quick, this is everything that's in the box. So there is a power supply, of course, for the display hub that the Rally Bar, for instance, connects to, or Rally Bar Mini. And then the only thing that's not included is, of course, the cable that you need to run it through and the power supply.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think the Extend is something people should definitely look at, because for all the features that it offers, just to take that and plug it into an appliance, particularly the power that it gives you, the power over USB-C, but then also being able to get a pointing device to be able to highlight your content is a huge benefit. So definitely want to ask people to think about adding the Extend. And I really like that compared to the earlier days with the Switch, not having to have display link drivers is huge. Yep. Because I remember in the early days, there was a bug related to Intel's chipset that actually made
you're bringing me back. I was trying to forget about that.
Certain computers that were running in the room would not work with Switch. And so what a pain. But now we've gotten past that. And now that you can just plug and play, I definitely want to recommend anybody listening here to make sure to add an Extend into your rooms. Adds a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and it's a phenomenal accessory that has so many, ways of leveraging it. From I call it content ingest on steroids. Of course, you can do the native HDMI. First of all, who has HDMI on their laptop nowadays anymore? And then you need the dongle. But the fact that with HDMI content, you're not charging your laptop. Now you can charge your laptop, and then all these other additional features and the flexibility with tablets as well. It's a phenomenal product, easy to deploy, and really feel that's it's been a game changer. So
let's talk Logitech Streamline Kit. This is a phenomenal solution leveraging the existing Rally Cam, but then utilizing 3 to 5 buttons that you can use to automatically frame a preset in a room. So just imagine the benefit of being able to, instead of having to go to the touch panel, just work in front of the whiteboard, for example, in front of the podium, in front of the lab, wherever it might be, and just push a button. Really as simple as a push of a button, have the camera framed. This might sound very basic, but it solves for something that's kind of been a difficulty for users, not allowing them to feel enabled to freely move around the room. For example, group framing, a great meeting room technology, but that uses AI, and sometimes the automated features of the AI can frame things in unsavory ways at inconvenient times. But with the new Logitech Streamline Kit, you have the ability to push a button and know every time it's framed exactly how you'd like it, and very inexpensive and able to add to your existing Logitech system.
We're talking about kind of what is new. This is new, but some customers have some questions, and like, it looks like the Rally camera, and it is the Rally camera, but it's everything that we've done under the hood, and then adding a more simplified experience for these training spaces. So the Rally Streamline Kit has a couple of new enhancements. One for the actual presenter, and a lot of times they're guest speakers. What we've looked at, and we've covered a lot on what we can do with capturing participants from an AI point of view. I do think AI still has a long way to go in training spaces, and sometimes it can be intimidating for that guest speaker. They may want a more controlled environment, and that's really what the Streamline Kit provides, because now with these simple to use preset buttons, you can really kind of trigger a preset that will automatically pan, tilt, zoom. It's very easy to configure, and then it's set it and forget it, and then you can lock the button. So again, No one can reset the preset. It's kind of locked in. It really simplifies this for the guest speaker. With preset buttons, it's, again, a lot more controlled when they transition from the podium to different areas, to the whiteboard and so forth. Now, again, some video service providers like Zoom, they have presets on the control panel, but then you have to walk over to the control panel. Having the buttons specifically at the area that you want to be captured really simplifies that. And you can see the point on the AI-based tracking, because of how the space is configured from where participants sit and the actual presenter. We really feel to simplify that approach. And we've also simplified the actual installation. With the Rally camera, we had a proprietary cable that can get very expensive. If you have to, I think the 45-meter cable is $1,000. So that adds quite a bit of cost. We've now made sure that you can actually just run a Cat6 cable. So it's just category cable, really simplifying things. And making it ideal for that high flex learning environment where we have remote participants as well. And as a simple hub that sits, for instance, under the podium in a BYOD configuration, right? They connect their laptop to it. But in a room solution, you would just connect this, for instance, to a video bar. This is a great pair between Rally Bar and the Streamline Kit. We have a room configured at our HQ like this, and it works quite well. You still have the Rally bar capturing kind of the audience, and then the PTZ camera, the Rally camera, with that Streamline Kit to simplify things for the presenter.
So with the Streamline Kit, you had just said that it has some relationship to AI and improvements on AI. Are you saying that in comparison to how the Rally camera previously would handle its framing, now having the ability to tie it to the presets gives you the ability to rise above some of the mistakes that happen sometimes with the AI camera picking up different people, like you were highlighting? Yeah,
it's been challenging in rooms like that. Who is it supposed to cover and when and at what angle? And then there is transition between, sometimes you want to cover the audience, sometimes the presenter, and just the challenges that we've seen. And there is a lot of these presenters, they're guest speakers. They don't know how the technology works. Now you're like, hey, Bob, here's your podium, plug in your laptop. Oh, here's the button that will automatically set the camera. When you go to that whiteboard, just push that button. Training done, right? It creates, I've seen this, it creates real confidence with these guest speakers as well. So, and anyone knows how to push a button. We learned that at the age of three going into an elevator. So, I really like the simplified approach. Of course, we're evaluating how we can do better with AI in those spaces. But just to recap, as it stands right now in those spaces with our PTZ camera, right now the only feature that the Rally camera was designed for is that group view, which, again, it can pan tilt the audience and so forth. But a lot of times we want to do a whole lot more in that space at greater distances. So that is Rally Streamline Kit. Again, a great add-on to our product portfolio and a great example how, with a refresh of a phenomenal camera, we can really enhance that experience. And I know I kind of went through that slide a little quick, but just to recap, existing customers could also upgrade their Rally camera because we have also the extension kit, which is everything but the Rally camera, and then you can purchase the buttons separately as well.
Yeah, I think Rally Streamline Kit is relevant technology that a lot of people are talking about these days because you can add it to a room or you can retrofit your existing Rally camera. I think does it come with 3 buttons by default, Pike?
Yeah.
Can you do more than 3?
Yeah, and you can add up to 5 in total.
That's excellent. And what that gives users is the ability to have unique presets throughout the room to be able to just govern where the camera moves, and allows us to rise above some of the unfavorable consequences of automatic framing through AI. So that's all positive.
Yeah, what I want to cover for our audience too is we've done a lot when it comes to kind of our self-help tools, right? Where I'm going to kind of dig into our services as well, but I want to kind of create my own segue as well. I want to make sure that our customers know that this is a great, we call it the product hub, but this is also to kind of get up to speed of what's new. And then you can, further filter this out by, okay, that's great, but what's new for Microsoft or for Zoom or Google Meet, any of our announcements. We also have, where we announce some new features integration. So we have Logitech, sessions that we sometimes list here as well. So this banner changes from time to time based on events. And then, of course, you can, discover more on our products. This is also great to just get more of the resources. And then, the other part is we've added kind of a support hub. All of this for our partners is also built into the Sync hub and for the IT department, so they don't even have to go to this page, but it's hub.sync.logitech.com. And what's great is that we have a very well designed AI bot just for quick answers, from how to pair remote for rally bar, for instance. And this helps you kind of get to the content that you need, or it's just you maybe have a quick question. I share this with customers, with partners. Is it replacing me? No, at least not yet. But it's great for kind of just getting quick answers. I want to make sure that our customers and partners can have access to this. So I just wanted to kind of share this. This is our product hub, and it does a really good job with, bringing you to the right articles for any questions that you may have.
Wow. So we have new updates related to Logitech's hub. So it can be found at hub.sync.logitech.com. And here is basically a lot of different options for seeking out information, but it also has this AI assistance. How do you get to the AI assistance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on the home page, we basically under support, there's the instant answer, but we also have the ask me that kind of starts floating up here. Yeah.
That's good.
And this is great because maybe, we want to know, okay, so we have to buy a mount. So what mount? And I'm not even going to speak to it in normal sentences. I'll even make a little typo here. Let's see, to really put it to the test. And see, it's it can even deal with the humans making stupid typos and whatnot, right? So there's our answer, right? We need the base amount. It even also shows there's non-Logitech mounts and so forth, and really kind of get to, the content that you need. So, I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I've been with Logitech for 20 years. I've been kind of in this role for, about 5 years. And we've come such a long way when it comes to what we do from support and the content. Back in the day, I had to keep all these articles, and now I have it at my fingertips. So
I think it's
making
great.
my job a lot easier, and it's really helping our partners serve our customers better. So
are there any updates, Mike, related to how Sync is developing? I know in some of the more recent articles and what I've seen, related to trouble ticketing and that sort of thing has improved, tying the ticket directly to the device through Sync, but anything else that we can comment on related to the update in the services and support?
Yeah, I think one of the other features that we've now launched recently, which is quite powerful, is with our services. One of the features that we've recently introduced, and that can be configured in Sync, is the ability to avoid friction. Quite frankly, when it comes to people kind of, we call them squatters or hijacking the room. What am I really talking about? Well, we've all seen this. I've been guilty, and I do this from time to time. People just walk into a meeting room on their phone because they have an important conversation, or it's even multiple people just walking into a room with a laptop. Someone starts sharing. They're not booking the space, They're not even walking up to the scheduler and reserving the space. No, there's, it's so important. They got to focus on that, and it just happens. This comes back into kind of how we seamlessly make technology work for people. So we've recently introduced auto book and auto release. So if there's a rally bar or a rally bar mini, which again has an AI viewfinder, it can detect a head and torso and detect, hey, there's someone in the space. I'm going to automatically book this room for 15 minutes or for 30 minutes. Now, some customers may say, well, what if someone just goes in there, they forgot their phone, they're out to the next meeting? You can set that threshold, right? You can say someone needs to be there at least for a minute or 5 minutes, so you can change that buffer. And it's not just with our booking software. This is actually also supported for Microsoft Teams and Zoom as well.
Yeah, what I like about auto booking and release is that so frequently is the case that users are talking about their ROI and they want to know, how are these technology investments making money, or where's their opportunity for return? And I think auto book and release is just a huge one. When you think about if room utilization is high within an organization, but the inefficiency is not wrung out, that is a big opportunity. And with auto book and release, Logitech makes it very simple through Sync to be able to handle that, so that you can automatically know that the room will be booked if someone steps in the room, or the booking will be released if not met within a certain amount of time. So in other words, if the meeting is set and yet no one is sensed by the occupancy sensor, the room would be cleared and then made available to someone else. Is essentially like adding more rooms to your fleet, because now you have that excess inventory now back available for people to book.
Yeah, and the other thing is also, facilities and IT, they want to capture how many meetings are taking place, right? Just because I'm on the phone, I'm still having a meeting, I'm still leveraging the space. If I don't check in, there's no visibility. Whereas when we start auto booking, again, that shows that there is traffic. There's someone actually, using the space, and that all bleeds into our insights, right? With our insights and with the data analytics that we have. So you can kind of see, here's an example. Here is our Sync tenant. That's our San Jose office, right? Being able to get the analytics of, how many meetings took place, what is the seat usage, okay, some rooms aren't as busy as other ones. These are showrooms, but then there is just high seat utilization, right? Kind of getting a better understanding of the traffic in the room. And, we calculate, kind of that average meeting use and seat use. And this is where that auto booking just kind of really comes into play with the analytics that we capture. And what's great is that's still a meeting, right? We're still capturing that. So you can see here, if we look at the legend, right, the purple color, of course, that shows to you that was a call with video, and the far end was there. But there's also meetings that take place where it's just two people in the room sharing content, right? They might use the extender, just throwing up a presentation. That's still a meeting. And that's what's great with Rally Bar Mini, that we can capture these as well. As you can see, there's just, they must have forgot their phone, as you can tell, right? Sure. But there's two people in a room for 24 minutes, right? That's a meeting. So we're really capturing that as well. And then, we're really kind of breaking down that experience. Like, what does that look on a Wednesday versus a Monday, right? Or you can tell a Friday different. I can actually book spaces because, not everyone is in the office on Friday. So that's going to help customers scale, right? Do they need more smaller rooms or more larger rooms based on occupancy and so forth? Yeah.
Yes. I think what we see here with the insights through Logitech Sync is that it gives you information that allows you to make real world business decisions that's going to help you to make use of these room investments. So Sync is actually helping users to get more out of their technology.
Again, couldn't have said it better. So I think it's important to share with our audience. Okay, so how do I get access to these features, right? What type of plan does that require? So I think it's a good segue for us, Kevin, to kind of talk a little bit more broader on kind of our services. What do I get out of the box as a customer? What type of plans could I potentially roll my rooms into? So I always like to start kind of with the basic, like what's in the box, or like, what do I get for free, right? So in the box, as you can see, you have 2 years manufacturing warranty. So that's 2 years. That's on everything, any of our accessories as well. The sync tenant that you saw, the sync tenant at its core is free. Any of our customers can create a sync tenant, or the partner can create the sync tenant and roll in their IT department, for example, right? So what does the basic version of sync look like? Well, think of it as I can enroll all my devices. I can make changes to individual rooms on how the audio behaves, or the video. I can make all the different changes. I can do firmware updates. I can schedule them. And I can also do this in bulk, right? I can say, I want all my rooms to have automatically be set to grid view, for instance, or when I use mic pods, I want to use speaker boost to, disable the built-in microphones. That's scale. You don't have to go room by room, right? So that's included. From a support perspective, this is where the partner or customer would file a ticket, and then within 24 hours, like, we don't have a phone number anymore. There's good reasons for that. We have a lot of B2C customers that end up calling the B2B number. We're also looking at triage. Some of these tickets are just quick questions versus some at a higher priority, right? So we triage it a little bit as well, but our commitment is to respond back in 24 hours. And then you basically can decide if you want to speak to a tier 1 rep on the phone or continue troubleshooting by email. On top of basic, so some of the features that we spoke about, we have a plan called Essential. So Essential is some of these great features. We talked about room booking. Now, of course, if you standardize on a room solution, Microsoft has room booking, Zoom has room booking. We also now have our own room booking platform that can integrate seamlessly with Office 365 or Google Workspace, because Google doesn't do their own room booking. So this is great for Google Meet customers, or some Teams or Zoom customers that may have a mixed environment and they want to standardize on one experience, for example, or it's a mix between room solutions and maybe some are just BYOD, just plug and play. So this has a map. It's got a lot of features. And then so all of that is included in Essential. And then, of course, the auto book release that we spoke about. Furthermore, this is really changing your sync from a management portal to an active monitoring portal. So what do I mean by that? Now you're actively monitoring your devices. So something gets disconnected, instantly get an email, and this could be done by the IT department, or the partner could get alerted, and they can take action so that when the C-suite exec comes in the next day at 7 a.m., the room is still running and people are not going to get in trouble because something was offline, right? You can be a little bit more proactive instead of reactive when you hear it from the CEO, and that's never a good thing. Now, on top of that, we talked about the analytics, right? So you're getting all the analytics that we discussed, from getting visibility, how these rooms are leveraged, right? So you can see here, you get the heat map. You can really dive into how these rooms are used. We've seen examples where customers said, yeah, we discovered this one room just was never booked between 2 and 4 because, the sun was just glaring in and they didn't have the right shades. No one's going to tell IT. No one's going to tell facilities. They're just going to be annoyed and book another room. This will really shed light, no pun intended, or maybe a little, on, why some of these rooms are not being booked or at certain times, right? Real visibility. So that is Essential in kind of a nutshell. So it's a great plan, but really what we really lead with when it comes to services is really our Select, because it's not just that essential suite, but it's an entire different support experience. So there's no longer that Monday to Friday, 8 to 8. No, this is 24/7 support. You actually bypass tier 1, so it's like a Disney Fast Pass. You have access to the tier 2 experts. This is a dedicated team as well. And when you file a ticket, which again, Kevin, you mentioned you can conveniently do now through Sync, the SLO is 1 hour on average. It usually within 5 to 10 minutes. You're either speaking to a tier 2 rep, or if you want to troubleshoot by email, you'll get an email response. Now, furthermore, again, because we've been through this as consumers, probably, you call something, one of your appliances is defective. You got to go through tier 1. Now you got to go to tier 2. That's another day. Maybe you called on a Thursday. Now you're speaking to someone in tier 2 on a Friday. Oh, yeah, no, we have to replace it, but it's 3 to 5 business days of shipping. So, you could be easily out a week or two. Not with Select, right? Select, again, you're speaking to the experts within 1 hour. It's also an advanced RMA, and that's next day. So within 24 hours on your doorstep, you have a new rally bar, for example. So, so Select is really kind of that white glove service with all the features of Essential.
Yeah, my experience, Pike, is that we have a lot of customers that really like being Select customers. When you think about comparing Select to so many of the other services that had existed in prior, generations of audiovisual, it's so much value. I mean, I kind of compare it to, SmartNet, if I could say that, and it's just, it's unbelievable how much you get for what it costs. Just the remote UI and the integrations and everything, which of course I know are already part of Essential, but the 1 hour SLO, the ability to get a response within 1 hour is mind blowing. And then advanced RMA and even stock replacements for customers of a certain size that can be located at their facility is unbelievable. And then you add a dedicated service manager. So I think Logitech has some of the strongest service offerings in the industry, bar none. And I think Select is highly recommended for any IT organization looking for the kind of support you need these days.
Yeah, and it's so simple to position because it's just a SKU, and it covers. Even we've had customers that you mentioned Sight. Some customers deployed Rally Bar. Now they want to enhance the experience. They're going to add a Sight. If they're a Select customer, it's automatically enrolled into that plan. And again, very simple. You can add a 1 year Select plan, a 3 year, or a 5 year Select plan. And I actually never even covered one of the most received features, and I'm so glad you reminded me of that, and that is that remote UI access, right? The ability to have access to the entire system. Now, sometimes when I talk to IT decision makers, they'll say, well, Pike, Zoom actually has this capability, or they'll say Teams has this capability. They do and they don't. So what they have is they have the access to the controller. But what if it gets signed out? Right? We've seen that happen sometimes. When an account gets signed out, well, you no longer have access. With our remote UI, as it's fully integrated into our Collab OS, you have access to the entire operating system. So you could reprovision a room, and better yet, it's not just the controller. It's actually the screen as well, because you're also accessing the Rally Bar. So, and even if there's multiple screens, all of that is supported through a remote UI.
Yeah, very powerful, especially if you have to recommission the room. It gives you that ability, and it's also secure, as well as, honors the privacy of the users in the process by alerting them that the room is being remotely joined to. So yeah, definitely a huge advantage of working through the Logitech ecosystem. Any updates on Roommate? I know it wasn't something we were planning to discuss, but Roommate being kind of the outboard appliance version of what Logitech has to offer, with giving users the ability to have a compute that's not quite a Intel NUC or a Lenovo. But what can you say about recent developments with the Roommate, if any?
I would say, I mean, one of the new enhancement is again, the Streamline Kit is also going to get, certified for the roommate. So we're working on that. So I'm excited for that, being able to deploy it directly with the roommate and have the buttons function. Roommate could also be a great solution with DSPs. I would say from, one of the features that we've added now, there's two things that we've added to Roommate. One is that you can also configure this as a digital signage device. Now, there's very, affordable alternatives, but we've had some customers that have had some poor experiences in high traffic spaces where digital signage is absolute key. So the ability to run app space on Roommate and monitor it through sync with the remote UI access makes this an extremely reliable option to deploy your digital signage, because you can configure this as app space.
I can see that.
That's definitely.
When you say it works with DSPs, you mean just in the course of having a DSP create like a Dante stream that you could then pick up on the Roommate? Is that what you're saying?
No, we don't support Dante. We have great partnerships with different DSP manufacturers, and this is just another approach where the customer, they standardize on appliance. They have all their Rally bars and minis and so forth set up on Android. They want that same simplified experience and some of the enhanced features like remote UI for these larger spaces where you need a DSP. So Roommate could be a great fit for that, opposed to just a Windows compute, for instance.
Got it.
So that's another way of simplifying deployment in these larger spaces. That's where Roommate can really shine. So we also introduced Logitech View. Let's see how good of a mind reader it is. So this basically runs on a Roommate. I use this all the time in the office because we have Roommate connected to a touch panel, and in combination with workspaces, I can see meeting rooms live, which rooms are available. But I can also see if someone's sitting at their desk when they're using our room booking software. So with Logitech Flex, I can actually see who's in the office. I can see where they're located, and so forth. So you can see, we're really getting into the workspace management, and this is the getting started. So this is kind of what Logi View looks like. So this runs on a Roommate. This doesn't actually require any of our service plans. So this is available for any customer. You basically tie the Roommate into sync as a room, and then you basically tie that into your Office 365 environment. So all the resource accounts you can import, and you can actually create a map. And then with the ability to tie those into the resource account. So you can actually, similar to our tab scheduler, you get a full map. You can see the available meeting rooms. This also shows points of interest. So you can show, sometimes you have guests, or we have people that work on the East Coast. They're in the office maybe once a quarter. This will help find as simple as a bathroom or a fire extinguisher. Or any of these important pieces, or the nearest exit. But yeah, one of my favorite features is that I can also, for instance, see where other people are sitting in the office. So again, that's a new enhancement that we introduced for Roommate.
So interesting fact with Roommate is that you can provision it with Logitech View, be able to input your floor plan and your maps, and be able to utilize that for navigating through that map on a large interactive display, and that's all included in sync. Doesn't cost any additional licensing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Again, this is Pike Schouten joining us to go over some of the latest updates with Logitech, and thank you so much for joining us.
Real pleasure.